Well, good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, or depending on where you're listening to us from. This is Mike Maddox. This is Bottom Line IT, and we are talking about partnerships between managed service providers and businesses in the context of EOS, which is an operating system that we use to run our business. And I'm really happy to have with me Scott Freitag. Scott is a senior, either you can call it VCIO, virtual CIO, client technology manager, a lot of terms for it, but he works with our customers to help them utilize technology. Scott, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Good to be a part of it.
So, I mentioned, Scott, that we're talking about the role that an MSP or a managed service provider, a technology provider, can play for a business. And let's break that down a little bit. I also threw out the term EOS, which, if listeners are not familiar with it, it stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. We've run on it here at ASK for a long time, Convergence ASK. Let's get your initial thoughts on just EOS in general and what it has done for our business.
Well, it was, I think I would say I was a little hesitant at first. All right, we've got a new thing here, new process. What kind of new administration work is it going to add to my plate? But once we figured out what it was, we got into it, read the book, why the heck EOS, really learned that it just kind of simplified things for us. It was, as you've talked about before, it's all about defining roles or defining seats, as EOS puts it, and making sure that the right people are in it. And I think it's just been a really good tool for us because I think in many ways, it's really simplified. It's simplified how we deal with issues, how we look at our goals. We look at our goals in 90-day terms, or rocks as they're called. Mm-hmm. And it just really simplified and really helped us define who our teams are. If that issue or rock doesn't belong with our team, it goes somewhere else. And we don't get caught up in things that really don't have anything to do with our role or our seat.
And along those same lines, technology now is so intrinsic and fundamental to every business operation, regardless of industry, that they're often reaching outside to find a partner to either supplement their IT staff or become their IT staff and cybersecurity staff. So when you think of that in terms of EOS, how does that work? I mean, EOS, would say you take your partner and put them in a seat on your accountability chart, right?
Right. Yeah. And I think part of that is just figuring out, okay, do we actually have a partner relationship or do we have a vendor relationship, with our client? And if we're just a vendor relationship, a lot of times we end up just being a break fix partner. Our job is to do what we can to make their, issues minimal, their processes more efficient. And in the end, it's all about making money. So if we can make their processes more efficient, we help them make money. And if our partners can make more money, then ASK can make more money.
Yeah, that's a really good summary. And before you get to that point, I mean, I want to just pause on that issue because there is a difference if you are working with a partner as a business owner, and I know this from running my own business, who you view as basically a vendor. They perform a function. It's very limited in scope. That's one thing. And there are certain areas of running a business where that's a fit. IT is too foundational and too intrinsic in the organization for that to be a fit, at least from our perspective. That's not what we do. We're looking, as you said, to help our clients be more profitable, be more collaborative, be more efficient. Those are business level questions. So we're looking for that partnership, that business partnership. When you go back to EOS, that leads me to think that what a business owner should do is take your potential managed IT service provider or technology partner and put them right on your organizational chart in a seat. Now, in EOS, when you do that, you don't just put somebody in a seat, right? I mean, it starts with what? First defining the role.
Yeah, you define the role. and then you find the right person to fit the seat.
Yeah. Or a partner in this case.
Right.
You define the role and you define the measurables. What are you accountable for? So you go, and we do that even when we hire people. We say, here's the seat, here's what you're responsible to do, and here's how you're measured. Does that fit you? And I think the same thing applies to a technology partner, correct?
Oh, I would definitely say so. And I think if they're willing to put us in that seat, in many ways, that gives us a right to understand, what do you really do with your business? What are your business visions? What are your goals? Because our job is to help those goals be achieved. And so it's always interesting, the first time you ask a client, all right, what is your goal? You know, what is your annual revenue for 2020? What were you hoping for 2021? And what is your plan for 2022?
Yeah, business level questions. The other thing that comes up, and I've seen you do this, and our other VCIOs do this with clients, is looking at the business holistically and looking for inefficiency. And the only way you can look for inefficiency is if you understand what the business is trying to do, what the strategic goals are, because that will lead you to what's inhibiting us from meeting those strategic goals. Then technology can play a huge role in breaking down inefficiencies. It does that very well. Um, so I think that's a natural inclination. Do you have any examples of clients that, yeah, I know you can't give names, but can you give us an example of how that works in the real world?
Yeah, I mean, I've got one client who, I'll start up by saying we're getting them onto the EOS path. I mean, EOS isn't right for everybody. You do need some type of operating system model, but this is a company that's been very successful, but they still want to remain like a family business, keep things small. So I've asked them numerous times, okay, what is your budget? What is
Yeah.
your overall operating budget? What is your budget for technology? And how do you vet out new technologies? And the CFO of a $45 million company said, I can't answer any of those questions.
So you identified there's an operational maturity that's needed here, and
Correct.
began to work with them on that over time, which led to EOS. That
Correct.
that's what a true partner does, and that's a great example. We are out of time, but we are coming back. Scott's going to be with us in another segment, where we're going to dive a little bit more into how that partnership works and how it should work. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for listening and watching Bottom Line IT. Welcome back again to Bottom Line IT. Thanks everybody for watching and listening, wherever that may be from. I'm Mike Maddox, your host, and with me is Scott Freitag. Scott is a senior VCIO, CTM. Those stand for Virtual Chief Information Officer, or it also stands for Client Technology Manager. Basically, Scott works with our business clients to leverage technology to make them more efficient, collaborative, profitable, and to use technology to that ends to do that. Scott, in the last segment, we talked about, what's the difference between a vendor and a partner, and how a true partner, especially a technology partner, needs to understand your business strategy, your pain points, your inefficiency, and become involved in your operation. You gave us an example of a client recently you've worked with in that regard. Um, Give us a feel for how you do that on a day-to-day basis. Like, how does that actually work when you're an outside entity partnered with a business?
Well, I think there's a couple ways that I do this. One, a lot of times is, you know, especially with a new client, we're going to start out a lot of times as a vendor, and we have to prove ourselves. And that comes also with me when we do our quarterly reviews with them, showing our value, but then also just continuing to press items, continuing to ask, what are your business goals? Where do you see yourself in 1, 3, or 5 years? Ask them the questions, okay, do you view technology as a necessary evil, or is it something that drives your business forward? You know, if they still look at technology as a necessary evil, that's still like a mindset from like 10, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can really get them to see the value in technology and how technology can improve process and efficiencies, even from something as simple as like creating an obsolescence plan. You
Yeah.
know, even just looking at, old machines and how that can slow somebody down. I mean, statistics show an old workstation can drop somebody's production by 2.25%. And a lot of people say 2.25%. That's not a lot. That is still equivalent to an a week of vacation.
Yeah.
Is a business owner willing to give somebody an extra week of vacation? That would
Yeah,
be
no,
great.
and
But
I think it's a really good point. You mentioned, the mindset of what technology can do, and we've had a part of our core values at ASK Convergence for a long time has been the technology really for a business has no intrinsic value of its own. That's our saying. Its value comes from its ability to make the business more efficient, more collaborative, and ultimately more profitable. Um, is there a process? You mentioned quarterly business reviews. You hold those with clients. Do you follow a process? Is there a template? Is there like how does that work?
yeah, we do. Now, for some of my clients, it's different. On average, a lot of our bigger clients, we do quarterly. Some of them actually meet monthly or even every other week. But part of that is, just showing the current status of their environment. Um, Really, it's more of a conversation. We like to start out the year with a client, based on what their fiscal year is what are you really struggling with? We a lot of times technology companies, even ASK, we use the term pain point. You
Yeah.
know, what are you guys really struggling with? What is frustrating for you? And and then my job is to see if is there either a process or a piece of technology that can help alleviate that pain.
Yeah,
And
and I would imagine you have to use internal resources because you can't know all the answers to that. But we have a couple hundred people that you can come into the organization and say, here's my client, here's their business strategy, here's what their pains are, and you're going to get a lot of ideas on ways to solve that based on hundreds and hundreds, thousands of clients that we work with, correct?
yeah, correct. I mean, one like specific examples, we have a client that they're a manufacturer. And, before we took over, they put new wireless in their warehouse, but they're realizing, okay, our scanners for inventory aren't working the way that they should. And, we came alongside them and said, okay, you have plenty of access points, but they're not placed where they should be. And so,
Mm-hmm.
we can do a wireless survey and say, here's where you're getting interference. So you don't really have to spend more money. You just have to rearrange how things are set up, to alleviate that pain.
Yeah, that's a really good example. And it leads to another question I had, which is as a business owner, I would want to know this if I was evaluating my managed IT partner. Um, it's not always about just spending more money to add technology, right? And then even when money is spent or invested, how do you attack understanding whether that actually had the impact that it should have had? I mean, because everything should be measured in terms of ROI, including
Correct.
including IT spend, right?
Yeah, including IT spend, including your resources as well. You know, I've got another client, also a manufacturer, who has a 20-year IT person, very, very competent, very capable. Why is a 20-year IT director um, fixing password issues or fixing Excel macro issues? His time's more valuable than that. That those are things that our help desk should be doing, to alleviate that from him so that he can do more things that bring value to their business.
Yeah, absolutely, and that helps the whole organization mature. This has been really helpful, Scott. I appreciate you being with us. If you boiled it all down to one best piece of advice that you've ever been given, what would it be?
Well, the sarcastic answer would be, don't be an idiot.
Don't be
You
an
know,
idiot. That's
you,
right.
you
That's what we
know,
live
and
by internally. Don't be an idiot. I'm with you on that, brother. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We are going to come back with more bottom line IT. Thanks for watching and listening. Have a fantastic day.